They don't even realize they are
I'm turning vegan.
And if you don't sign up to all things vegan, that's a cult, mate. All hell breaks loose.
They even lie to themselves. The Bible says,
The food chain.
How they brainwash us and bring us into cult mentality.
I'm a meat eater.
Vegans certainly kill animals.
I've seen dairy farms. It's fucked up. You see what they're doing to cows, the way they treat them, but
Most of us love our little canine friends, but if it's an animal, I'll eat it.
The hatred, the intolerance, the barbarity. I'm a meat eater.
You must become a vegan to be a good people.
Preachy, dogmatic.
They don't even realize they are part of a cult.
Hello everyone, we gathered here today to find out if we're in a cult, or have we left one? Have we left one cult and joined another? It's all up in the air. We are going to go through a renowned list of characteristics and specific methods that cults use to recruit and keep people in a state of mind control. This is the BITE model, and it's developed by Dr. Steven Hassan, an ex-cult member himself. The BITE is an acronym for Behavior, Information, Thought, and Emotion Control, and we are striving to go through one section per stream, starting with behavior. Vegan Gaze is going to be responsible for assessing veganism, and Foolproof Mastery, aka Patrick. Although he is a vegan, he will attempt to answer for meat eating. I, Morten, will provide examples from known cults so that we have something to compare to. But first, let's begin with opening statements. Vegan Gaze, are you ready? Patrick. Excellent. Very well said. Before we start, whichever channel you are watching on, guys, please do us a favor. We have links of the other channels in our comments. If you can, in our descriptions rather. If you can, please open the other streams, mute them, like them, subscribe if you haven't already. It will really help us out. So let's begin with the first point in behavior control: regulate individuals' physical reality. This is a little unclear from what I've read, but most people who assess cults say that this pertains to whether or not people who are in a cult carry a thing, characteristic of a cult, with them at all times. Vegan Gaze, do we have something similar? But sorry.
So they're not. They can't hear me or Patrick.
Can they hear? Can you hear them now? Sorry, I think I was responsible for that.
Can you hear us now, everybody?
Super laggy. Oh, I can't do that.
Can everyone hear me?
They might be able to now.
Listen,
we can
guys,
hear you now.
We knew that this was going to be a shit show because I'm running it. So we all know how technically genius I am. So
Okay, they can hear us now.
okay, so I guess we go through the opening statements again, which we missed that.
Yeah, I'm a vegan gaze. I ironically do kind of run a cult, of course. And I will be checking today whether or not veganism is a cult.
Patrick?
My name's Patrick. I'll be assessing whether the meat eating group is a cult or not. And I'll make it clear that I'm not defending meat eating in any way. I'm merely assessing whether meat eaters are in a cult, which I used to identify as a meat eater. And for the purposes of this exercise, we're going to say that anyone who's not a vegan is classified as a meat eater.
Excellent. I hope everybody can hear everybody. That's good. I'm going to cry about that later. But for now, regulate individuals' physical reality. Vegan gaze, can you go through it again, please?
Yes, so it might be important to kind of like go through what that might look like. It's just what your proximity looks like. Is that a good way to explain it?
Yeah.
Post-mortem.
It's basically if a cult, if your specific group that you are in mandates you to carry something around on your person at all times that pertains to the cult.
Yeah, there's definitely not like a mandate in veganism to like wear anything specific, like though a lot of vegans will wear, you know, or be encouraged maybe to wear like a meat is murder t-shirt, or maybe get tattoos that are like vegan related or something like that. There's no mandate. I've never been told ever I need to wear something or have something on my person, apart from maybe nooch in a pocket somewhere. There's nothing. So I would definitely say there's nothing mandating our physical reality. Nothing springs to mind at all.
Patrick?
And same here. I cannot remember being mandated to carry anything with me all the time. Feel free to add any examples, but I cannot think of anything which I had to carry as a meat eater, such as a ring or anything like this.
Okay. Well, an example from a known cult, and most of my examples are going to come from Scientology because it's such a goofy cult, and it's so relevant these days. So Scientologists, they have to go through something that is called, they go up the bridge to total freedom to progress as a Scientologist and become Scientology Chads. At some point on that bridge, at OT3, which is one of the levels, the level 3 on the bridge, the information becomes confidential. So whenever a Scientologist goes in to study, they then have to keep the information in a briefcase, shackled, handcuffed to their hand whenever they go somewhere else, either to pee or to have lunch. So it's a little goofy, they're walking around with briefcases handcuffed to their hands. Now that's a cult. Next point, dictate where, how, and with whom the member lives and associates or isolates with.
Well, yeah, apart from my streams where I dictate like that people have to be there, like that's just an individual vegan. But veganism itself, there's nowhere that you particularly have to be. There's no way of how, except of course as long as you're doing it in a vegan way. But like who people live with, I think there is a bit of discouragement to like living with people who aren't vegan. But I think for the most part, it's more of a sympathy thing. It isn't so much of a you can't live with this person.
So nobody gets penalized if they lived with a meat eater?
I think there is some penalizing from a segment of the community, but I don't think it's an overall shared vegan experience. I would say the penalizing I've experienced or penalizing other people have experienced is more fringe than not.
Yeah.
That would be my idea.
Excellent. So, Patrick, do meat eaters get penalized for living with vegans?
Before I answer this, I'll just say that I'm also filling out an Excel spreadsheet at the moment, and and after the stream, I can send it to anyone who's interested. And the way we're classifying these points is does not apply, partially applies, applies, and then an extra color blue for carnivores, or there might be specific subsections, subgroups, which will be in blue. And so dictate where, how, and with whom the member lives and associates or isolates, that's a no. I cannot think of any. I think meat eaters, they're free to associate with whoever they want.
Outside the group of meat eating as well, for the other 2%.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure. Just to stick it to people who say that the roots of veganism are in religion and specific in the Seventh-day Adventists, I would like to say that no, and that the Seventh-day Adventists church is actually pretty cultish. They live in isolated groups. They don't associate much with other religious groups or non-religious groups as well. And they have their own schools, Seventh-day Adventist schools. So their kids are isolated to the community. I had to stick to our forefathers a little bit. Right. Third point, when, how, and with whom the member has sex. Vegan gays.
No. I can't say that I've seen that really. I think there's some discouragement that people say like being with people who eat animals. It's definitely something that people don't like who are vegan. Like I'm not going to speak for all of them, but many of them. Mm-hmm. But I've never been told who I can and cannot have sex with.
Patrick?
Yeah.
Sorry, do you have something?
No.
But yeah, if we're just solely considering the human species, because...
Yeah, that's where I was thinking. I was like, well, of course, we're not with animals, but that's completely different, so...
Actually, that is a restriction. We can't have sex with animals. Oh. But I think it's just a matter of society, not...
Yeah, you would hope. Yeah.
And to answer the question, I think potentially within the meat eater group, there is some sort of stigma that people who do not consume animal source products, they have some sort of lower fertility, or, because Lifting Vegan Logic, he did a debunk of someone who I'm not going to name, who regularly spreads misinformation. He was saying he would rather procreate with an omnivorous woman. And so there is some sort of stigma. This is how I felt. I don't know what you think about this, but I feel like maybe it partially applies.
Does it though? I think it's mostly on the online sphere. I don't know if there is such a stigma. I guess there is a stigma that non-meat eating men are not manly enough. I think that's a pretty widespread stigma. But I don't know if
it's not universal. It's not universal thing. So
yeah, so maybe partially applied. Yeah. What do you think, Vigi?
Yeah, I think for both there is a stigma like associated with the different group, but I wouldn't say like with whom. It seems more this behavioral control is less like coercive or stigmatizing, and is more like you cannot do this. Am I correct in that interpretation?
Yeah.
Like hard.
Yeah, it's basically, mandation from the group that would be followed by some kind of either expulsion from the group or some kind of punishment by the group.
So then I would say no.
Yeah.
That was you're free, no punishments to do as you want inside the meat eating group.
You'd get laughed at by your buds, maybe, but that's about it. I will agree. So the example I chose is again from Scientology, something that is called No2D. people who are recruited into the Scientology, kind of like a clergy, an organization that runs the church, it's called the Sea Org. So people who are recruited into the Sea Org are not allowed to have sex at all with anybody until they are married. They're not allowed to date either, or kiss in public, or have any kind of what is called to be any kind of affection to a person until they are married. And since dating is not allowed, people basically meet each other, say, I will not probably be able to find anybody else who's compatible in this tiny cult. So they get married in a few weeks, and then they're allowed to have sex again.
Jesus.
Yep. Right. Number 4, control types of clothing and hairstyles.
Yeah, so for this, not so much hairstyles, but clothing, yes. Yeah. There's going to be some aspect of like clothing, like wool, like from an animal, or leather that is controlled. Like vegans will say, if you're wearing that, like at the very least at the very least they'll be like, was that secondhand? Like, there is, and if it wasn't like straight up, though there is some debate about secondhand anyway, say if they just bought that outright, there would be you are removed from the group.
Yeah, I agree. It at least partially applies, maybe fully. Patrick?
Unless it's clothing made out of humans, I cannot really see any sort of restriction.
I think that's a restriction. You can't wear human skin. I'm joking. I'd say partially applied to veganism and not applied at all to meat eating. Does that sound fair to everybody?
Yeah, I guess the distinction is there's no real like authority. Like you will just have. It's weird with vegans because we're such a like group of disagreeing all of the time. So there'd probably even be like people within that who would say you are, as long as you're not eating them. So I think it does loosely apply to veganism. Yeah.
All right.
So are we going for partially applies for veganism?
I think so.
And then okay.
And it doesn't, unless we decide that human skin is a must, we must include human skin as a restriction, or dog skin. I don't know.
What do you think, vegan guys?
I don't think that's societally included, so I don't think it's seen as a restriction, even though it technically like is. Yeah.
I agree. It's not imposed by the group. It's never occurred to anybody. Right, so Mormonism, also known as LDS, Latter-day Saint Church. We all know about the special underwear that they wear under the clothes, but did we know that the wedding ceremony, they are going to the temple dressed like this? This is how they get married, dressed like weird bakers. There we go. That's all I have to say about that. Regulate diet, food and drink, hunger or fasting.
So no hunger or fasting or anything like that. But the diet is regulated in the sense of like we don't eat animals or their secretions. Yeah. And if someone is eating animals and secretions, then they wouldn't be considered vegan by the group. So, I mean, that partially applies. There's no like authority that will come and like kick you out like of the actual group in any way. Like you could still go around calling yourself it technically, even though you would be probably ousted by peers in a way. I would say it partially applies.
I would actually say fully applies, because I would say that definitionally they would be excluded from the group.
Yeah, I guess they would be definitionally. Yeah. Oh, so we're looking at it by what it would mean, like by the paper, not by how like people within the group would react. Okay. That makes it easier for things to be culty.
Patrick.
Apart from the fact that most meat eaters, they feel like to be a meat eater, they should be eating some sort of. I feel. Actually, no. I'll rephrase. I feel like the meat eating group, they feel like they need to be eating animal products, if not something is missing. But I don't think there's a restriction, or I'm sorry, a regulation going on.
I would say there is a huge regulation where I wouldn't say that dog skin is something that would occur to people. I think meat eating on the whole is pretty much against dog meat or human meat. So there is a regulation of what people eat. And I think there is also a self-regulation of meat eaters of not eating vegan food.
I haven't seen this one, to be honest.
Okay.
For example,
I've seen it. I've seen
same.
it. I'm not eating vegan food. Vegan food's disgusting.
I've been told that in my face. I'm not
Yeah.
a vegan. Why would I go to a vegan restaurant with you?
I know when I was a meat eater, if I could easily eat a plant-based meal and not realize that it didn't have any animal.
Oh yeah, of course. If
flesh.
it wasn't labeled as vegan, you'd eat it. I mean, you ate bread. We all did. I'm just saying, if it carried the label vegan, then it would be automatically excluded from the diet.
So are you saying you're saying for every single meat eater, this would be they will automatically not buy it?
I don't know if I can say for every single meat eater, but I would say that the group cohesiveness strongly suggests that they don't eat food that is labeled vegan. I think if you look at meat eating as a ideology, as a group with regulations, because there are, I think, I think we can make a strong case that they wouldn't eat vegan food labeled as vegan because it goes against their identity. And also, I think the fact that most meat eaters would not eat dog and will feel very strongly about it, to the point of threatening death. I think that includes meat eating in this point.
I think I need to get more clarity then, because there's some people in Asian countries who could be eating dog flesh and they would still class themselves as meat eaters. Or you can have people who have vegan friends, meat eaters, have vegan friends, and they go out and then they know it's vegan food and they don't automatically turn it down.
Yeah, I would say the dog one is stronger because dog eating is fringe. It's only a certain parts of the world, and by most of the world, it's incredibly frowned upon and incredibly upsetting to people. I don't know, Vijay, what do you think?
I think it would come under the umbrella of like meat eating. Like I ate many different animals, and I would put them under the umbrella.
So would you say that this point doesn't apply at all, partially applies, or strongly applies to meat eating?
I think it does also applies. If as not, I'd put partially applies.
Yeah. I understand because there are more restrictions in veganism if we compare the two.
Yeah, like we are restricting, like I ate animals that would be considered quite weird to eat, and people don't see them as animals like to eat, and they are restricting and regulating who they do and don't eat. So
yeah, if I say how I grew up, what I grew up eating, I think most people, including meat eaters, would look at me differently.
Mm. Oh.
When I was a meat eater, I went to Vietnam and I ate dog flesh. Yeah.
Oh, how did it taste?
Well, they did it in really bad. Well, it was sort of in a hot pot, and it was really bad.
See, I was the hypocrite who was like, why the fuck would people eat dogs? Like, but I'll eat a pig though. I was that person.
I never myself ate a dog, but I never had strong feelings about other people's dogs. I remember making jokes about that.
Yeah.
I went with my friends to Vietnam, and they all wanted to eat dog. And then once they had their dog in front of them, they didn't really want to eat it. And then after I sort of saw their hypocrisy, because then I started to think, what's wrong with one animal and not the other? Why is it wrong? You know? Yeah,
right.
So
go on, Patrick.
So I'm not sure if there's any sort of regulations, because, in Switzerland, for example, at my old work, they used to serve kangaroo or horse.
Okay. So would you agree that it at least partially applies, or would you exclude it completely?
I'll need to get more clarity, I guess, on by regulate. In this case, it seems you're inferring that it's a mental thing in the group, or I'd need to get a little bit more clarity on.
No, I think it would be frowned upon by most of the meat-eating group, except for small fringes, if you eat a dog. I think most of the world wouldn't look at that as a normal thing. Right?
I mean, you can just look at comments of like Yulin, like it is like just mounds and mounds of comments of like xenophobia and just like seething hatred that someone would even do that.
Okay. So I guess it depends a little bit on where you are in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think at least you can say that it's partially applies and fully applies to vegan. How about that?
There will be as well, like some people who think that eating a pig is like the most disgusting thing you can do, like through like religion, through culture. So that there will be other animals that are regulated, in that way.
Yeah, but I would say that's fringe, same as dog eating. That's a fringe thing. And if we look, of course, there are like groups within groups. But if we look overall at meat eaters, most of them, I think, would be against.
I guess partially applies might be because most people, they draw a line somewhere. Yeah. I feel like most people are not okay with eating every sentient being, every animal.
Yeah. So okay, I think we got to that. Right, an example from a cult in Africa. It's also a current cult. Pastor Ligero Daniel, and the name of the church is Rabboni Center Ministries. This pastor makes people convulse violently, almost being like in a trance. And among other things, he commands them to go outside and eat grass, and they do it. And he also lately has become accustomed to making them drink petrol. So,
oh my God,
that's what a cult looks like. There we go. Another example, just a small example from NXIVM, which is also an example of a cult within a cult. NXIVM is like a multi-level marketing cult. But within it was a small group of women led by Alison Mack, who's a known actress. And in that group were only women who were defined as masters and slaves, and the slaves were made to obtain, to be on a diet consisting of only 500 calories a day.
Jesus.
Starving, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, manipulation and deprivation of sleep. Do vegans lose sleep?
Not by the mandate of like veganism itself or anything. They might lose sleep over being upset about what they see, but there's nothing that's controlling the sleep or manipulation Like, I mean, that's a very broad thing, but nothing's coming to mind as to like manipulation.
Yeah. Patrick?
Nothing.
Excellent. Sea-Org again. I just love this cult so much. So the Sea-Org, which is the clergy of Scientology, not by any mandate, but it just happens all the bloody time. They work 110 hours a week. They work 7 days a week. They have a small window on Sundays, I think, to do the laundry and clean up their room. And that's their rest time. And sometimes, very often, the projects that they're doing mandate them to stay up all night and sleep under their desk for an hour or two and then continue working. So basically, all Sea Org members are sleep deprived all the time. They don't get enough sleep, ever. All right.
Jesus.
Financial exploitation, manipulation, or dependence.
Yeah, nothing springing up for this one at all. Like, I've never been financially exploited or like anyone dependent on me as a result of veganism.
Yeah. I will actually push back a little bit on that, but I don't think it's a matter of the group. It's the use of outside groups of the vegan group. I think often vegan products cost more with no justification for it. But that's not the matter of the in-group. It's a matter of us being exploited by outside forces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Through like not having as much accessibility, so they take advantage. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, some things are labeled vegan despite just being vegan a priori, and then money is made that way.
Yeah. 100%.
Patrick?
So every day.
Wait to hear that answer, Patrick.
Well, every day as eating animal free, I'm saving money. So, but I don't think there's some sort of financial exploitation going on inside the meat eating group. But I do feel most people, when they go animal free from animal source products, they'll be saving money.
I think I must push back as well, but much more than veganism, because within the amount of misinformation and hiding that goes on in animal agriculture in order to continue make money, the financial strain that it holds on every country in the world, basically, just to continue existing, I think that would apply.
Do you have something to add, vegan gays?
Not really. Postmortem kind of summed it up. I don't know. I'm not thinking of it in terms of the out group, really. I'm thinking of it too much in terms of the in group and their effect. You know what I mean?
I would actually say at the least partially applies to meat eating.
Because by financial exploitation, in my head, the definition seems such as there's a universal, where you're giving money to someone universally, when there could be some meat eaters who just live off of food waste or dumpster diving.
Yeah, but that's again fringe. I would say
fringe.
Like if you take the group generally, meat eaters are incredibly financially exploited. In fact, the entire system of raising kids and telling them that they must eat those foods is financially motivated, at least partially. Sometimes culture. There are other stuff going on there, of course, but the people who are trying to hold on to this industry are doing it for money.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah. So I'd say at least partially applies, just to not sound too...
Just partially.
No, I think that, yeah, it's a tough one, but I think partially is okay.
Okay. So my example comes from the Kingston Clan. The Kingston Clan is one of the fundamental arms of Mormonism. It's incredibly weird clan. There is lots of incest going on there. They're all trying to stay being Kingston, if you know what I mean. But one of the weird things going on in that group is that they own many businesses as well. And kids as young as 11, 12 are starting working in those businesses. And they never see a paycheck. They never see one dime from that money because it all goes in the central bank. And basically the only person who has unlimited access to that money is the head of the family, the father, who usually has somewhere between 3 and 30 wives. And all the wives, all the children are working, and the entire all the money goes into that pot, into that bank. And if somebody wants to buy something with that money, they have to call the bank and justify why they need that money, and they might get a no. Can't get the money they're working for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm sorry.
Thanks for this great research.
Yeah.
You must have spent ages.
Yeah, Jesus.
No,
Oh my God.
I've been watching cults for the past, I don't know, 7, 8 years maybe. So a lot of those things I knew already, just basically by existing. But I'm going to depress the fuck out of all of you. Sorry. Right. Point number 8. Restrict leisure entertainment vacation time.
Vacation time, no. But you could say, like, to some degree, we self-restrict some forms of entertainment because animals are apparently seen as entertainment. So we don't go to aquariums, we don't go to, zoos and stuff like that. So there is some self-restriction there in the entertainment. I wouldn't call it entertainment, but maybe I'm cult-brained, But yeah, leisure, there could be some things that people see as leisure, like going out watching the horses riding, and stuff like that we wouldn't do. So there's a few things that we do in the literal sense restrict. But so I'd say it partially applies.
Yeah, we also devote, some of us devote at least part of our lives to advocate.
Oh yeah, we don't get vacation time.
Right. Patrick?
Not really, apart from missing out on all the great plant-based food.
So another partial for veganism. Oh damn, we might be in a cult, guys. What are we gonna do?
Oh damn, we're just gonna celebrate it. I think we should just let it happen.
All right. One more example from Scientology. As I said, Sea Org members work 110 hours a week, or all week, basically. But one more thing is that they are confined usually to whichever buildings or wherever they work. And if they want to go to a funeral of their mother, of their brother, to a birth of their niece or something, they have to request a vacation time, and it's usually denied. Or if it's not denied, then the person is going to come with them. They're not gonna go alone. Somebody's gonna go with them to see their interactions with the families. So it is restricted to a large degree. Point number 9, major time spent with group indoctrination and rituals and or self-indoctrination, including the internet.
Yeah, I mean, you could loosely say that like people spending time like watching like videos about veganism and stuff like that, like watching maybe outreach, like stuff that you already know, so that you can like train yourself to but it's weird what you would classify as like a ritual. I would have to get clarity on what in veganism could be considered a ritual.
Yeah. Really not sure myself because, yeah, I don't know if anything actually applies to veganism at all. Like some people have the need to self-indoctrinate, keep watching like slaughter footage and stuff to stay vegan. I heard about that, but it's fringe people that need that, and it's
Yeah.
not mandated by the group. In fact, kind of discouraged.
Yeah.
And rituals, I don't know anything that applies. Patrick?
Yeah.
I would say maybe partially applies because you have a lot of celebrations where people are around a dead animal. So to me, that seems such as an example of major time spent with group indoctrination. Feel free to push back, but it's not universal for all meat eaters, but
No, I think culture, though, is one of the universal excuses.
Yeah, and it wouldn't even be just like meat eating. You could save things like zoos, aquariums, like where like non-vegan things are happening. Like the people are surrounding themselves with it. But I don't know how much you would call that like you wouldn't call that like rituals or anything, but you would call that like indoctrination, right?
Yeah, I would call
Yeah.
the holidays that go around, that center around animal killing, all that.
The rituals, yeah.
So
so I would
partially,
go,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe I would even upgrade that.
It's up to you. I wouldn't say no to you.
I think I'll go for an applies there.
People are saying as well with things like adverts. You know, there are a lot of adverts for like flesh secretions. It's like burgers, chocolate, milk.
Guys,
So,
is my stream
guys.
lagging terribly? I think it's only mine, as far as I can see. Please let us know in the comments how are our streams doing. This is a pilot. We're streaming to all 3 channels, but if it's really terrible, we might not do it again. Let us know. Right.
Mine seems okay.
Yeah, I think both of you, okay, but mine seems lagging terribly. And my chat does say that it is lagging. I apologize, but if you are there already, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit something on our channels. Yeah, we would greatly appreciate that. Right.
So what did we say for the veganism on this one? Partially.
No, I would say
No.
No.
No, I don't think the group mandates any kind of indoctrination or ritualization. I think it's the opposite. Work hard to get rid of indoctrination. Yeah.
Mhm.
Some people are gonna kill us for that one, but I think
Yeah, no, yeah, a lot of it is coming away from the indoctrination.
Yeah.
That's what we say a lot. Yeah.
I agree. I wouldn't I? I'm a vegan. Anyways, another example from Scientology about self-indoctrination. On the higher levels of climbing the stupid bridge, they have to self-audit. So in Scientologists' belief that their bodies are covered by these little beings called body thetans, and they are half passed out but not really dead. And by self-auditing, they basically ask the body thetans, "Who are you? What are you doing? Blah blah blah." Until the body thetans wake up and leave their body. So people spend years talking to themselves or to their ghosts around them in such a manner. So I think that's a good example of self-indoctrination. What do you think? Kind of goofy, isn't it?
It's pretty goofy. How is this shit real?
I love this cult so much. I can't, I ain't gonna lie, it's so weird. Right, number 10, permission required for major decisions. Vegan gays.
No. I can't. I saw this one and I was thinking, permission from who? Like, there's no one you go to. There's no one like specifically in charge that you're like, can I adopt this dog? You know, like there's nothing.
Patrick, by the way, you can chime in into the veganism as well if you have something to
Okay.
say about it.
All right, that's great. I'll bear that in mind. But permission required for major decisions? I cannot see anything. Neither for meat eaters.
Yeah, I would agree that it doesn't apply to both potential cults, to neither. So for this one, I went into my roots and I nominate Orthodox Judaism as the cult that does this the most. Wives ask for permission from their husbands before they make even minor decisions, and everybody have to have permission or discussion with their rabbi before they make minor or major decisions in their lives. So it's incredibly controlled. All right. Number 11, rewards and punishments used to modify behaviors, both positive and negative.
I couldn't think anything for veganism at all.
Because again, rewards from whom? Punishments
Yeah.
from whom?
From whom? Who's our great deity or our leader, like punishing us? I do not know.
Neither for meat eaters. Cannot think of anyone punishing us. Well, who I used to be.
I guess I could say there is a little bit of somebody coming into the group. They get well received. Oh, you're vegan, that's very cool, blah, blah, blah. And if they leave the group, they do get punished a little bit. I think it's on both sides, and I think it's just human nature. So I don't know.
Yeah,
if it's...
I think it happens with things that wouldn't be considered cults, like football clubs. You know.
Oh
or
shit! If somebody changes to Arsenal from Manchester, jeez.
Yeah,
I have no
exactly.
idea what I just said.
But I think once someone has seen the reality and they become ex-vegan, it's sort of any criticism they get is sort of justified. Maybe it could be argued.
I don't know. Some people get death threats. I don't know about that. But I would say that's individuals, not the group. We might get pummeled on that one as well. But that's all right. So everything that happens in Scientology was written by L. Ron Hubbard, the founder, LRH. One of the things, one of the policies is that the week in Sea Org ends on Thursday at 2. On Thursday at 2, people have to present their statistics for what they did. Every office has a different statistic. Some have like how many people they've recruited, others how much money their office made from those recruitments and such. So basically, if the statistic fell below what it was last week, then people in that office might not get paid or even not get proper food and are gonna have to live on rice and beans for the rest of the week, which sounded fantastic to me. But I guess for an entire week, rice and beans, it's a bit nutritionally deficient. I don't know. The same goes, just the birthday game. It's the same thing, but a statistic once a year on LRH's birthday. They have to, one office wins it all, and then they get some kind of a prize. There we go. 12, discourage individualism, encourage groupthink.
I think with veganism, there's so much arguing about everything that I would have to say there is not really, it's more individualism than there is groupthink, though the people are because people are just constantly fighting over like, you know, companion animals, whether or not you call them pets, dog food, stuff like that. It's constantly. So this one was a bit tough for me because it's like I feel like people are more free thinking, but you could make the argument, you could turn it on its head and say that they're trying to encourage groupthink because they're arguing so much. Like we want you to think the way that we think about it.
Yeah, but we're failing, aren't we?